What we want you to do is consider writing what you know. Write from your own personal and professional experience. When Jack and I started, Jack and I were both on the board of directors of a great company called The Inside Edge. Jack had heard me talk and I'd heard him talk, and we loved each other and all that. And he was up at in Beverly Hills talking at the Inside Edge meeting. I had to get up at 4 o'clock, drive up to Hollywood. Afterwards I said, let's go to breakfast. I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm doing the neatest book ever. And he showed me this collection of stories. And I said, man, I've given you half those. We ought to do it together. After a little bit of negotiation, we decided to do it. What they were essentially is stories that were stories guaranteed to give you a standing ovation. They were little bite-sized stories. We decided never over 3 pages. We decided what the markers were on the highway. We said, here's the curbs, here's the highway. It's got to have 7 things. They got to touch your heart and penetrate your soul. They got to cause you to have happy tears. They got to cause you to have goosebumps, chilly bumps, God bumps, some people call them. They got to cause you to get weak in the knee. They got to cause you to have a change in perception. And what happens is it was crystal clear then when we read a story, and we had to read 1,000 stories to find one. And then we would test on the audience. And during that year, what we did is we had a little coupon. We could not take money, because if you take money and don't deliver a product in 6 weeks, it's called mail fraud. You get to go to jail, and we didn't want to do that. So we said, if and when this book comes out, would you buy one, or how many will you buy? And we had a pre-order for 20,000. Still all those people turned us down. So the point is, but we knew the stories worked because they rocked from us, and we asked other authors what their best ones were, and we got Irma Bomback, we got Art Buchwald, we got Tony Robbins, we got absolutely everybody to give us stories, and we were very, very thankful for it. So realize that there's a book or article or story or special report in me. Everyone say, it's in me. It's in me. And it's my obligation to pull it out. Everyone take a cord and say, I'm pulling it out. And to share it with the world. Everyone take a hand and say, share it with the world. Because it exists already. How do you get there? One of the ways is you comb your journal. You look, hopefully you all journal. Oprah Winfrey says the 2 most important things she does, she reads 2 books a week. 2 books a week. To slow readers or average readers, somebody dyslexic, that seems impossible. But if you just take a speed reading course, which we're going to have online, you got to really get it together. Like I read about 4,000 words a minute. My comprehension is somewhere in the 90 percentile, and I can remember stuff forever, as can Jack, as can my partners Bob Allen, Royce, and James, and all that. Anyhow, point is, journal every day. Now you say, well, who's done books that way? Well, Oprah Winfrey says, I take all my books out of my journal, and she just got the highest fee ever for a book that comes out next spring. She's written a couple books before, and this book is going to be the book of books, she says. Who else did it? Former presidents did it. Ronald Reagan journaled every day. I don't know how presidents have time to journal while they're president, and then, you know, it's the president's diaries, and then Clinton did the same thing. So it's amazing what you can do. If you are a Star Trek fan like I am, I love Gene Roddenberry. We were in the same doctoral class. Gene Roddenberry calls it Stardate, and it's, you know, thousands of years in the future, and he dictates to his journal. So today you could dictate to your journal. Today we've upgraded that, and we now call it a blog. And I believe you ought to have a text blog, you ought to have a video blog, you ought to have an audio blog, you ought to have a webinar blog, you ought to have a meeting blog. I think all that stuff belongs on YouPublish. Point at your temples and go, that's interesting. Like I said, there's going to be 360 degrees of spherical opportunity, not planar opportunity in this operation. Next, improve your writing skills by writing every day. For some of the people watching this, some of you have not written. The great story by my friend Bob Proctor is a lady comes up to him at his, in one of his audiences, I want to write a book, but I've got 4 kids, no husband, I've got to work every day. This is the first time I've ever attended a seminar. And get real, Bubba. I can't write a book. Bob says, look, could you write for 1 minute a day? She said, of course I could write 1 minute a day. He said, you write 1 minute, that's 250 words, that's a page. If you write 1 minute a day for 365 days, that's 365 pages. If you edit it down at the end of the year, that's 250 pages. You now have a book. She left, never to be seen again. Bob Proctor said, this is a good idea I just had. Bob writes 1 minute a day, puts a great title on it called Born Rich, because all of us are born rich. You're born with 18 billion brain cells, so you're over-endowed. That's why YouPublish is the vehicle of vehicles. It's the place of places. It's the support system of all support systems. He's now sold over 10 million copies of that book. So is he glad he learned to write a page a day? The answer is Yeah, once you get habituated to it, now you're unstoppable. Everyone say, I can do this.